What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright, and you are here listening to another episode of Paving the Way. As always, guys, happy to have you here for another week, another chat, another insight, another unsolicited opinion or advice that you might be listening to. But more or less, just trying to provide some value, just trying to pave the way for those coming behind me, those coming alongside me, and maybe even providing a little insight to those who are probably all far off ahead of me. But moreover, just providing the value, the insight, the experiences that I've gained over the years of doing business, entrepreneurship, leadership, whatever form it may be, to the previous version of myself. I said it a few episodes ago that I've heard it before, I've heard it multiple times, that you're most qualified to lead the person you used to be. And so I try to make sure that the lessons, the experiences that I share on this show are aimed at the person, the leader, the business owner, whatever it might be that I used to be, because more than likely there are other individuals out there in that same position right now. So today I kind of want to do a little follow-up off of last week's show about knowing your value, proving your worth, and talking a little bit this week about not every client is yours. I think oftentimes as we're growing businesses, we're growing teams, that we think part of that growth has to be taking on everything that gets thrown at us. And I want to debunk that a little bit today. I want to share a little bit of experiences of how that's caused some issues in our business and our growth, as well as maybe a little bit of things to look out for. So this podcast might end up being a little bit short because it was a topic I want to talk about that's too long to be just a video on social media, but might not be the longest podcast you've ever listened to. So either way, let's get started. All right, guys, like I said, today I want to talk a little bit about the topic that not every client is yours. All right. So one of the things that I see oftentimes happening in businesses is they're trying to grow, they're trying to develop after they've taken the time in the years to prove their worth, right? Like we talked about last week. We said, for the first little while, you got to prove your worth. You got to prove that you're capable of doing the job, that you're intelligent, that you're experienced, you have the background, the portfolio, whatever it might be. You got to prove your worth. And then eventually you kind of progress into knowing your value. And last week I kind of touched on this a little bit in knowing your value, in that you got to hold strong to that stuff. You don't have to, try and be the cheapest. You don't have to try and cut the corners to compete with the competition. You don't have to try and, cater to anything and everything that people might want or need or request. But knowing that not every client is yours expands on the knowing your value side of that. And the example that I like to give is this. All right. At our company at Proline, I always like to compare us to the Ruth Chris of the pavement maintenance industry. So if you don't know what Ruth Chris is a well-known steakhouse that's a fine dining experience. Now, I will say I've been to many other steakhouses that were fine dining that were a great experience as well. I just used Ruth Chris because it's a more widely known brand that offers a great experience. But nonetheless, I like to say that we're the Ruth Chris of the pavement maintenance industry. And what do I mean by that? When you go to a Ruth Chris, you sit down and it's got the white tablecloth, right? You've got feature dishes. You don't have 2-for-1 specials. You've got a waiter or waitress that is well-dressed, that knows the menu inside and out, knows what features they have on the menu that night. They know their dishes. They know their drinks. They know everything about your entire experience that you may be trying to have. And so you sit down and the experience starts with a well-educated individual greeting you and starting off your dining time. And so as you go through that dining process, you finish your bread that they bring out to you as complimentary bread service. And as you're finishing your bread, they pull out a nice little, I think it's called a crumb comb or something like that. And they literally comb the crumbs off the tablecloth to clean your area where you're going to be eating. And then when you order your steak, they bring it out on a 400 or 500 degree plate to make sure that steak is staying nice and hot through every bite that you take throughout from the beginning bite to the very end bite. As you finish that up and they clear everything off of the table and they bring your dessert out that you order, it's served on a fantastic presentation. It's got the pretty little smear that some of these restaurants do, or whatever, the shavings of the chocolate on stuff, whatever the dessert might be. They take a lot of pride in the presentation of it. But nonetheless, when you go to a Ruth Chris Steakhouse, you go there for the experience, right? Because other steakhouses can cook a ribeye, medium rare, medium well, whatever you may like your steak. They can cook a ribeye. They can put good seasoning on it. It can have a nice charred flavor to it. They can make nice beverages to go along with it, from the bar. They can have nice desserts to offer, appetizers, whatever it might be. But the experience that you get at a Ruth Chris Steakhouse is very unique, right? You are treated like you are the most important person that person is talking to. That waiter, waitress, manager, food runner, whatever it might be, when they're interacting with you, their role and responsibility is to make sure that you are their highest priority at that moment. And so, like I said, you can go to another, mainstream steakhouse. I don't want to name any and try and make it sound like I'm talking bad about them, but just imagine anywhere else that you might be able to go and get a steak, a ribeye, a New York strip, a filet, whatever it might be, for a fraction of the price, right? Because if you go to a Ruth Chris and you're paying $85, $90, $100 plus for a steak that you can go to another steakhouse and get for $25, $30, especially when it's on special on a Tuesday night, the experience is completely different. Okay. And so in our world, when I say that I want to be the Ruth Chris of the pavement maintenance industry, that means that I explain to people, look, there are other companies out there who can paint parking lot lines just like we paint them. They can spray asphalt sealer. They can fill potholes. They can put handicap signs up. They can get your concrete repaired, your asphalt repaired, whatever it might be. Other companies can do exactly what we do, just like other restaurants can serve steaks exactly like Ruth Chris can. But what did you hear me talk passionately about the Ruth Chris experience? It's the experience. It's how you're treated. It's how they make you feel. It's what you can expect when you walk in the door, right? And so when I tell our team that I want to be the Ruth Chris of the pavement maintenance industry, that's what I'm referring to. I want our clients to know and expect what they can expect from us, right? They know that when they're talking to us that we are giving them the utmost importance for their project, their issue they need solved, whatever it might be. And so we want to create such a great experience for these clients that they don't mind paying more for the lines that anyone else can paint. That they don't mind maybe paying a little bit more for the asphalt sealer that other companies can spray just like us. That they don't mind paying a little bit more for the paving project to completely tear out and replace their parking lot in a matter of 36 hours with minimal interference to their business operations, just like someone else can do. Because of the experience that we offer, right? The high levels of communication, the attention to detail, not just in the work itself, but the proposals, the maps, the phase plans, the project management systems that we use, the making sure that we have everything lined up for invoicing or vendor portals that we have to be a part of. We go through every fine detail of a project to try and ensure that it goes as a 100% perfect as possible. And then on the times that they don't go perfect, right? Because it's not if, it's when that a project goes wrong. But when they don't go perfect, then we make sure that experience of remediating whatever imperfection occurred is of our utmost priority. No different than if you bite into a steak at a Ruth Chris Steakhouse and they're going to say, hey, hold on, please don't eat the rest of that. I would like to go ahead and get this remade for you. Let me go get that done right now. And that steak becomes the top priority for that chef, the top priority for the manager to come out and make sure that everything's okay, the top priority for that server to come and check in and ask you to cut into it to make sure that it is to your liking. Whereas at another steakhouse or another restaurant, they may say, well, it looks good to our standards. I think it's okay. Or would you just like me to take it off your bill for you? Right? They're not caring as much about the experience as they are the end result. Just get them happy, pay the bill, and move on. And so we make sure that everything is as perfect as possible because we have to make sure that those clients, those individuals that we work with on a daily basis, know that they're our highest priority when they're the ones that we're working with at that given time. Now, what does all this have to do with not every client is yours, right? So not every client is yours means that, let's be honest, guys, there's some of you listening to this right now who've never eaten at a Ruth Chris Steakhouse. You don't really care to go to a Ruth Chris steakhouse, and that's perfectly fine. You're totally fine with the Outbacks or the Longhorns or the Applebee's or whatever it might be that you go to and grab a steak. Nothing wrong with it. But you're not Ruth Chris' client, right? There's some people who they say, man, I absolutely love when I walk into a Ruth Chris because I know I'm going to feel good. I'm going to be treated well. I'm going to, the server is going to be professional. They're not going to make sure my drink never gets below half full. Like, the experience will be great. You, my friend, are exactly what Ruth Chris is looking for. Okay. But the issue lies not in knowing if you are Ruth Chris client or not. It's that Ruth Chris needs to know the client they are trying to attract, right? Because if they try to go sell their great experience, everything that I've already talked about when dining at Ruth Chris, if they try and sell that to somebody who is perfectly happy and okay with what they go get from an Applebee's or an Outback or a Longhorn or a different type of a restaurant, well, then they're just barking up the wrong tree. Those individuals are going to say, why would I go pay $90 for this steak? That's outrageous. You're ripping me off. Or why would I go pay XYZ for the beer or the cocktail or the dessert or the whatever it might be? Everything's more expensive there. I can go get the same thing at another place. Like I opened this up with, guys, of course you can go get the same thing at another place. Whatever business you're in right now, whether it's the pavement industry, the lawn care industry, the pressure washing industry, whatever it might be, there is another company who can do exactly what you do just as good as you do it. That's why they're in business. That's why you have competition. But what separates you from them, right? That's the stuff you have to make sure that you hone in on. And when you hone in on that, it's going to open up the things that make you understand that not every client wants what you have to offer the way you have to offer it. They don't see the value in what you're bringing to the table. And so when you're spending your time barking up that tree, trying to explain to them how much value they're getting, how much they're getting, do you think Ruth Chris is out there begging people to come try their restaurant because they say, hey, we serve our steaks on a 400-degree plate. Hey, we sweep the crumbs off of your table. No, they don't go out there and bark up the tree for that, because they've built a reputation over long enough time that people know if they want a fine dining experience, they don't go there looking for a deal. They don't go there looking for it to be quick. They go there looking for it to be right and looking for high quality experience and results. So those are the clients that Ruth Chris is going after. What are the clients that you're going after in your business? Because like I said earlier, guys, I want our business to be the Ruth Chris of the pavement maintenance industry. I want clients that work with us to say, hey, Daniel, we completely understand why you charge what you charge, because you give us such a great experience. Your team is so dedicated to ensuring the quality results that we desire. Your team is so professional and respectful when they talk with us. We haven't had another crew like this show up to our job site before. We haven't had someone talk on the phone to us that actually appreciates, makes us feel like they appreciate us calling in to talk with them and are interested in what we're doing, that we don't feel like an inconvenience to them. We want clients like that. And I can tell you right now firsthand, guys, when we get clients like that, it's a whole lot more enjoyable to work with them. It's a whole lot easier to prioritize those phone calls when you see them show up on your caller ID. It's a whole lot easier to move that email in your inbox to the top of emails to respond to. It's a whole lot easier for the guys to get out there early or on time or whatever it may be and just try to just blow that client away, because it's our ideal client. But the issue is, for a lot of businesses that I've talked to, is that they don't know who their ideal client is, and they don't know what that point of differentiation is that they offer that their competitors don't. Because for the clients in our industry that want it cheap and fast, they really don't care much about the quality. That's okay. Or for the clients who want it cheap and low quality, well, it's definitely not going to get done very fast, and it's going to interfere with their business. So they may not be worried about that. That's okay. But for the clients who want high quality and fast turnaround times, we're the ones that they want to work with, because that's what we offer. We offer the experience of a high quality project, high quality result, a customer driven experience from the first phone call to the invoicing process. It's all about making sure that they have a great experience and they can walk away from that project saying, man, that was great. I look forward to the next one. Just like when you walk out of a Ruth Chris, you're going to say, man, that was great. I can't wait to go back. Okay. And so my whole point of all this is that after you've spent the time to prove your worth, right, in your industry, in your market, and then you've spent the time of knowing your value, dialing in what you offer, how you offer it, why you offer it, where you offer it, what you offer in general, then you transform into the level of knowing that not every client is yours, and that's okay. Like I told you guys, we've gone through the experience of trying to be everything to everyone. We've had situations where we get somebody who starts to kind of push a little bit and say, hey, can you do this? Can you also do that? Can you make sure this happens? I tell you right now, obviously I'm a foodie. I'm talking about steakhouses and eating and stuff. Here's another example. If I go to a restaurant and their menu is 18 pages long, I can guarantee you that really nothing on that menu is going to be very good, because they're trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. When I go to a menu and it is one page, or it's very small, front and back page, and the front is their appetizers and salads, and the back is their entrees, that means they perfect what they're offering you. That's what you want your business to be. Unless, of course, you're in the business to be everything to everyone, like your Walmarts or your superstores or your grocery stores, where they just offer everything that you might need right when you walk in those doors. If that's your model, you probably don't want to listen to me, because we aren't talking the same language. But if you want to be the best at what you do, you have to know what it is you're offering and who that ideal client is, because that's what you're going to focus your efforts on for your marketing, your business development, your experience that you're trying to offer them is going to be tailored around them. So I challenge you, anybody who's in business for yourself, in leadership, sales, marketing, whatever it might be, I challenge you to think about, what does your ideal client look like? What do they value? What do they look for when they're coming to your business to purchase services or products or whatever it might be? Because if you don't have that ironed out, then you are just shooting birdshot into the air, hoping that you hit something. And the more you start to hit and you realize you can't keep up with all of it, the more burnout you're going to get, the more worn out you're going to get, and the more you're going to get so far off track from your original intentions and vision of building the best company in your industry to just being a company in your industry. So like I said, guys, don't hesitate to worry about that not every client is for you. It's okay. It's part of the growth process. It's part of what we have to figure out as we're growing businesses and really dialing in who we are and who we want to serve. So I hope that provided a little bit of value for you today. Obviously, it ended up being a little bit longer than I anticipated because I started talking about food. So if you ever want to get a time to get together and go grab a steak, I got some great steakhouses we can go to. One could be a Ruth Chris, or I got a handful of others we can go hit up. But nonetheless, guys, I always appreciate you tuning in. I hope this provided some value for you or someone else that you might share it with this week. And as always, if you need anything, reach out.